is interesting to me, how so many who are outspokenly free speech, supposedly in all things, are celebratory when speech they dislike is prohibited. It's basically free speech, unless it's gay. Grow up. Care about something important, like Star Wars. Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel, welcome if you are new. My name is Emma. It's hot. It's really hot. You know what? I tried recording with my fan off for about 3 seconds, and I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'll do my best to get rid of the fan sound in post, but if you can hear it a little bit, just know that I'm dying. This is a 9 PM recording session because it was too hot to record earlier, and I'm sweating still. Sweaty Emma is back to invade your nightmares once again. I am so sorry. I do come bearing interesting news though. Let me just read this headline to you real quick. Utah primary schools ban Bible for vulgarity and violence. Don't pretend you didn't have a little chuckle at that. I know you did. Now, we do love scholars and professors on this channel, so before we dive into this article, let me hand you over very quickly to our friend, Professor Death Knight from Raid Shadow Legends.
Professor Death Knight here with a lesson about Live Arena, the new PvP mode where you can fight against other players in real time. Sounds terrifying? Well, so's going to the dentist. You should still do it. Live Arena has a draft feature where you can pick and ban champions to fight for you. Teamwork. When you win matches, you'll get Live Arena crests towards unlocking special area bonuses, or so I hear. I'm too afraid to try any of this out. All right, class. Any questions?
Oh, Professor Death Knight. How do you feel about banning champions in Live Arena?
I hate it. I wish everybody could play. Back in school, I would always get picked last. This is just like when someone pointed at me and said, "You can't even play and your bones look weird." But you know, rules are rules. So.
Oh, what would your intro music be for Live Arena?
It's gotta be upbeat, high tempo, like a song that really pumps up the jam. Or one that gets you jiggy with it. Sorry, you know I'm like 1,000 years old, right?
Oh, Professor, what's your Live Arena battle strategy?
Well, everyone thinks I'll go in fighting, but nobody expects my charm. My best strength is the gift of gab. So when they try to attack, I'll just be like, "Nice weather we're having, eh?" Nobody will see it coming.
I don't think that's really...
I hope you use this knowledge you've gained here today about Live Arena to head off and do battle. Live! Make this whole dead bones professor proud, folks. Class dismissed! Do we have a bell? Oh, we should totally get a bell.
Now, in case you didn't know, Raid's limited animated series, Call of the Arbiter, is in full swing now, and to celebrate, Raid is adding some of the characters you can find in the series as champions you can play with in the game. The first one is Artak, the mighty orc warlord. Artak is available to everyone for free. All you have to do is log in for 7 days between now and July 24th. If you've seen episode 1 of Call of the Arbiter, you will definitely want this guy. If you haven't, please watch it. The episodes are really short. I promise it's worth it. Although if you wanted to skip to episode 2 to see Athel's story, I wouldn't completely blame you. If you somehow haven't started playing Raid yet, do consider checking it out using my QR code or clicking on the link down below. You will get a whole bunch of awesome bonuses, including Epic Champion Talia. Remember to click that link down below or scan the QR code. Come and join me on the battlefield. Now, I just want to read a little bit of this article to you for background information. Utah's Republican government passed a law in 2022 banning pornographic or indecent books from schools. Most of the books that have been banned so far pertain to topics such as sexual orientation and identity. The banning of the Bible comes amid a larger effort by US conservatives in states to ban teachings on controversial topics such as LGBT rights and racial identity. The Utah decision was made by the Davies School District north of Salt Lake City after a complaint filed in December 2022. Now, I think most of us would be lying if we said we didn't find this a little bit funny, for reasons that I will explain later on if you're confused and just think we're being really, really mean. Okay, or I'm being really mean. Now, here's the part that seems obvious to me but has to be said. I don't think the Bible should necessarily be banned from schools. Although some of the Bible is pretty disturbing, those bits aren't taught to kids anyway. When I was in school, we all got given those little red books of Psalms, just little, laments and hymns, mostly about praising God. Nice enough, and to be honest, we all lost them within a week anyway. Most Christian parents and schools are probably keeping the more indecent and pornographic parts of the Bible from their children anyway, so this shouldn't really make a difference to anything. I don't think banning books in general is a particularly good idea. If you look at books that have been banned historically, those bans would probably be more or less universally disagreed with now. If they're only watching, I'd urge pro-book banning Christians to consider how much banning and burning of books has been specifically to target Protestantism and Christianity as a whole. Might just be a little bit eye-opening. Here's just a few historical examples, because I think it's really interesting. Okay, from 259 to 210 BC, the Chinese Emperor Shi Huangti is said to have buried alive 460 Confucian scholars to control the writing of history in his time. In 212 BC, he burned all the books in his kingdom, retaining only a single copy of each for the royal library, and then those were destroyed before his death. Apparently he did that with the hope of actually destroying history, so that people would say history began with him. 35 AD, the Roman Emperor Caligula. He opposed reading the Odyssey by Homer, written more than 300 years before. He thought the Odyssey was dangerous because it expressed crazy Greek ideas about, freedom. 1526, a bunch of English translated Bibles that had been smuggled in from Germany, they were publicly burned on order of London's Roman Catholic bishop. 1624, Martin Luther's German translation of the Bible was burnt in Germany by order of the Pope. In 1859, Darwin's On the Origin of Species was published. It was banned from the library of Trinity College, where Darwin himself had been a student. In 1925, Tennessee banned the teaching of the theory of evolution in schools. That law remained in force until 1967. The Origin of Species was banned in Yugoslavia in 1935 and in Greece in 1937. It's a little sad to think that we were just reading about a school system that teaches that evolution is an evil myth, today. The Soviet Union banned Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, because of occultism. And then, most obviously, 1933, a huge series of book burnings in Nazi Germany. Einstein, Marx, Hemingway, and many, many more. That's all to say, book banning is virtually always, not quite but very, very nearly always, the product of nefarious aims, right? It's about oppressing minority groups. Or it's about Victorian sensibilities, which consciously or not are also usually for oppressive aims, like repressing women's sexuality and working class language and so on and so forth. It is interesting to me how so many who are outspokenly free speech, supposedly in all things, are celebratory when speech they dislike is prohibited. It's basically free speech, unless it's gay. Grow up. Care about something important, like Star Wars. For example, a book that I'm currently reading, yes, get ready for a collab with your favourite booktuber Savvy Writes Books, a book I'm currently reading called Women Deserve Less is, in my opinion, stupid, irrational, spreading an agenda that seeks to oppress women. However, I also fundamentally believe it would be wrong to ban it. I also fundamentally believe it would be wrong to ban the Bible or books about sexuality from schools. Now, of course, when it comes to schools and children, there's a question about age. If you were to take the wording in the ban, pornographic, at face value, most people would probably actually agree with that, because you shouldn't be showing anything, 18 plus, anything XXX to children. But that goes without saying, and I don't think anything that has been banned would actually fall under that category. That's why age-appropriate books on topics like sexuality, etc. exist. I don't know of any schools that aren't able to use common sense in providing age-appropriate literature for children in the libraries. This ban targets age-appropriate content and says it's inappropriate because it mentions being gay, for example. This is part of why I think blanket bans just don't work. When it comes to books, as with freedom of the press, say, I simply don't think there's a good way to restrict access to any kind of text without risking really important human rights. And I think most people would at least agree with this. I reckon it is far better for children to learn about, say, their bodies through an age-appropriate book at the school library where there are teachers around that they can ask questions, rather than, say, internet pornography, where they might get actually very dangerous ideas about the human body and sex, etc. A lot of conservative parents seem very squeamish about anything that suggests nudity, anything that talks about human bodies in a frank and simple way for children. And the only thing I'm going to say on that is this: that is a hugely important way to teach children how to talk about being abused and identify that that's happening to them so that they can reveal that to people. There are a number of other reasons as well that it is very, very valuable for children to learn, say, the names of parts of their body, that all of that is normal in a healthy and safe environment.
Yeah, but the book might make them gay.
And if you're worried that looking at a picture of a penis with the word penis next to it is going to make your child gay, I have some terrible news for you about the graffiti that all boys will doodle everywhere. At a certain age, even all of the straightest boys will be obsessed with drawing penises on every surface they find. I couldn't tell you why, it is simply a fact. So, now, banning books, not good. Do I think Utah schools banning the Bible in this instance is a good thing? Yes. I know, very contradictory. Please hear me out. Ideally before you start yelling at me in the comments. As discussed, I think the whole original ban on illicit materials from schools is a terrible idea. It's very, very clearly been used by bigoted people to oppress deviant sexualities. Happy Pride, by the way. And to shelter children from learning important things about themselves, just in case they're gay. Extending this ban to include the Bible highlights the hypocrisy of those people, and the parents who use, vulgarity and age-appropriate as an excuse to ban the books that they don't like. Indeed, some bodies have had to accept the banning of the Bible in order to uphold the banning of books that they don't like. So you have things like the Utah lawmaker who originally called this ban request a mockery, U-turning, and saying, well, it is a challenging read for kids. And people saying, it's not on the curriculum anyway. The Bible is best taught at home. Because they have to pretend this law is a sensible one, or risk their kids learning that gay people exist. This is not the first time this has happened, and my hope is that the backlash is sufficient to undo the entire law, leaving children free, as they should be, to read whatever faith texts they want, as well as the important books on identity and their growing bodies that they also deserve. Maybe some Christian parents might have their eyes opened to the fact that there is no way to restrict a child's access to a single narrow ideology outside of an authoritarian regime, and certainly not in the supposed land of the free. Do people still do that? I hope people still do that. There's just one more comment I want to highlight from this news article, which I will link down below, by the way, before we finish up. This is the father of a primary school student in this area. I'm going to give him an obtuse northern accent instead of an American one, okay? You'll have to deal with that. I can't think of what's in the Bible that you'd have to take out of it. It's not like there's pictures in it. What would you have to take out of the Bible for children? Sodom and Gomorrah? But with the cannibalism? Or where John the Baptist gets beheaded? It's not like there's pictures. There's so much just fleshy, gory, terrifying stuff that happens in the Bible. I just thought that was a really funny comment to make. What would you have to take out it? Bible, all I remember is Jesus saying, turn other cheek. I'm so sorry for any of my northern fans. Any of you who are still left. On that absurd note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do please leave your thoughts down below. It's just I couldn't let this story pass by without making a comment on it. Do remember to click the link down below to order yourself a Baffy plushie. It is a limited run. They are available to order for this month and this month only. So if you would like one, do please click the link down below. He's a shove little good buddy, I promise. If you enjoyed this video, do consider leaving a cheeky little like. Hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more. There are playlists of Skeptic Saturday content. If you would like to hear more from me, I also have a gaming channel at Little Duck Gaming. I'm playing the new Amnesia game over there at the moment. It's very spooky and scary, and I am not very good at it. Also for you gamers, I am live on Twitch, in theory 3 times a week, although at the moment it is too hot to stream as soon as the weather cools down a little bit. I'll be back to streaming 3 times a week. That is a really fun way to chat to other members of the community and say hi to me and just have a good laugh at my expense usually. I also have a more vloggy channel, Emma Thorne Extra, with some more kind of personal stuff and weird just vibes on there, honestly. If you would like comment priority and some very silly emotes, you can become a channel member today, or tomorrow, or never. I don't really mind. Of course, the best way to support this channel is via the Patreon, and with that, I must give a big old thank you to my giant chickens and colossal quackers over on Patreon. Have yourselves a very lovely week, and I will see you really soon.